I can listen to you all day, and I do listen to you a lot. But how do you go from believing to knowing?
Well, in the same way that there is a vibrational variance between doubting and believing, there is a vibrational variance between believing and knowing. Doubting and believing is a further expanse. Doubting is not far from disappointment, which is not far from fear, which is not far from disempowerment. In other words, when you doubt something, your vibration is very far from the knowing of it. Mm-hmm. And by the time you reach this vibration of hoping, you've come most of the distance. And so you can go quickly from hoping to believing, and quickly from believing to knowing. It's just a matter of staying there focused a little longer. All hope means is that you are focused more upon what you want than you are upon what is. It's where you've tipped the balance of the scale so that more of the time you are thinking about it as you want it to be rather than seeing it like it is. So once you tip that balance, that fulcrum tips downstream, so to speak, as you find the feeling that begins to feel like belief, there's a lot of momentum in that. And somewhere between hoping and believing, you start getting manifestations. And so belief goes from knowing because all kinds of evidence is now pointing toward it. Oh, we love saying this to you. What a wonderful question you've put to us. When you're hoping for something, you're still in that phase where it's vibrationally complete and you are mostly thinking in direction of what you want rather than what you don't want. But the manifestation hasn't started showing itself to you. But if you stay in that hopeful place long enough, now manifestations begin to show themselves to you, and now you begin to believe. When you begin hoping for something, and then you start noticing what comes from that, and then you begin believing, and you start noticing what comes from that, before long, knowing is easy. We want to put this into the context of what faith is. A feeling of faith is belief that it will happen even though I don't have evidence that it is happening. And it's what we were talking about earlier, as we were talking about any of you traveling from city to city. That journey is understandable. So you don't get out there halfway and get disoriented. You understand those journeys. But often when you're going from sickness to wellness, or from not having something you want to having it, you don't have any evidence. There are no signposts that are so vivid and obvious to you other than the guidance of emotion. And so this knowledge that you are reaching for can come to you immediately when you accept that the way you feel is your indication of direction. In other words, when you know that the better you feel, the better it gets, and the worse you feel, the worse it gets, that's the knowledge that you're really wanting to reach for. When you notice the absolute correlation between how you've been thinking and feeling and what's manifesting, you've got knowledge. So then something wonderful will happen, and Esther will say, I did that. That's knowledge. When something not so wonderful happens, Esther said, I did that. That's knowledge. So it's the knowing of the guidance system that we want you to focus upon. Everything that you live is a replication of how you've been feeling. Nothing happens that's separate from the way you feel. Everything happens that is exactly corresponding to how you've been feeling. So as you start consciously noticing those comparisons, as you think and feel and have a manifestational result, before you know it, you have knowledge. And then you start saying, I know I did that. And we think that that's really the knowledge that you're wanting to reach for. And then it's just a matter of practicing the better feeling thoughts. We think what trips so many of you up is that you've been trying to compare how you feel with how others have felt or how others are feeling, when the comparison that you want to make is, how does this thought feel in relationship to the thought that I just thought? And as you keep leaning to increasingly better feeling thoughts, before you know it, you'll become addicted to the feeling of momentum and well-being. And then the conversation won't be, how do I have knowledge? The conversation will say, I have the knowledge. The question is whether I am deliberately applying it or not. We tease Esther a little bit because she knows the difference between a thought that feels better and a thought that feels not as good. She knows. She's been practicing this for a long time. She knows a thought that feels a little better and a little better and a little better. And with deliberate attention, she can parlay any thought that feels any way into a better feeling thought. No matter how good it feels, she can make it better. No matter how bad it feels, she can make it better. She knows how to make every single thought feel better. But sometimes she does not use that as her criteria. She'll say, well, it's true. As if that has anything to do with anything. There are a lot of things that are true that you don't want to live. There are a lot of things that are true that you do want to live. Let the criteria be, how does it feel when I think it, you see? Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
I'd like to be specific if possible. My partner Mark and myself have this dream of, in the northern part of Ontario, in the wilderness area, to build a bed and breakfast that will offer alternative healing and spiritual renewal through being in nature. And we both have sent that out together as two people together, one desire. We talk about it, we visualized it, we've done all that. I've felt that I know it's coming. But there are times when I feel that either myself or Mark are doubting it. And so my question is, if I am really feeling that, yes, it's coming, I'm feeling very positive, and Mark is doubting, or the other way round, which one wins out?
Well, as you are joined at the hip, so to speak, and creating on the same project, and let's say that you are most of the time feeling only eager anticipation about it, and your partner, let's say, is doubting quite a bit. If you turn your attention toward your doubting partner, now you're not in vibrational alignment with what you want. And so it isn't a matter of who wins. It isn't a matter of which is the stronger vibration, the one of what you want or the one of the doubting of what you want. It is a very unique thing for two people to care about each other, to be working together on a project and not influence each other to the lowest common denominator of the vibration. Because when you want what you want, and even someone you love is focused negatively, they feel to you as if they are hindering, and that injustice looms within you. In other words, it's like, if you wouldn't doubt so much, then my desire would be pure. And we say, what's somebody else's doubt got to do with your belief? Where do you get your belief from? Them? That's a very conditional belief. If you'll believe, I'll believe. No, if you'll believe, I'll believe. No, if you'll believe, I'll believe. We say, focus upon what you want until you know it, and then what anybody else thinks won't make you buckle at the knees. So often, one partner will want one thing and another partner will want another. Let's say that you both want opposite things. Let's say you want it to be in these mountains and you want it to be at this beach, or something that feels different. And so if you're focused upon what you want and finding vibrational alignment with it completely, then the universe has to yield it to you. And if this one is focused upon what he wants and is giving his undivided attention to it, then the universe has to yield it. But what usually happens is you're looking over there at what the other one is doing, which means you're not a match. The other one's looking at what you're doing, which means he's not a match. And so now neither one of you are a match to what you want, and so neither one of you are getting what you want, and you're both sort of blaming each other. So the answer to the question is, it doesn't mean diddly squat what anybody else thinks about anything, even if they are your co-creative partner in this endeavor. What they think does not matter at all unless what they think makes you feel negative emotion. If you are feeling negative emotion, then bottom line, you're not a match to what you want. And all the justification in the world, well, I didn't feel bad until you said that, but now you've said that, now I feel bad. All the justification in the world doesn't matter. Yeah. The bottom line is, I'm not a match to what I want when I feel bad. So how can I hold myself in alignment with what I want? And we say, we don't understand why it is so hard for you when you've got all of the call of source calling you this way, why it's so easy for you to hear somebody in the peanut gallery calling you a different way. And we say, it's because you've tuned out to the call of source. You've forgotten what the call of source source sounds like and feels like. You've forgotten that it feels like improvement. You're off trying to find truth and valor and all of those other things. You're getting your marks on all kinds of other charts, and you've forgotten that good feels good. It always feels good. When you love, it always feels good. When you expect good things, it always feels good. When you anticipate good things, it always feels good. When you doubt, it always feels bad. When you criticize, it always feels bad. When you look at what you don't want, it always feels bad, you see.
Thank you.
Very good. We want you to find a way of thinking about this bed and breakfast that feels good to you, not because those thoughts will make it happen, but because those thoughts feel good. People come to these gatherings and they say, all right, I'm going to learn how to create my own reality. And you say that I must feel good in order to get what I want. So in order to get what I want, I'll feel good. And we say, that's a bit screwy. Because everything that you want is so that you'll feel good. So if you can find a way of feeling good even before you get what you want, now you're really onto something. But most say, I can't really feel good till I get what I want. And we say, therein lies your problem. As long as you're holding out for it to manifest before you let yourself wholly go, you're holding it off. When you let yourself wholly go, I'm feeling good because I want to feel good. I'm feeling positive. I'm thinking it's coming because that feels good, and doubting that it's coming feels so bad. So it doesn't have anything to do with reality. It doesn't have anything to do with evidence. It's just this simple thing. This thought feels better than this thought, therefore I choose it. Why are you choosing that thought? Because I think it'll get me what I want. Wrong. Why are you choosing that thought? Because it feels good. Because it aligns me with who I am. Because it lets me be who I am. Because that's seeing my bed and breakfast through the eyes of Source. It's already in vibrational escrow. And we've all seen it. And when you see it as we see it, you feel good. And when you see it not existing, you feel bad. And that's what faith is. That's what belief is. That's what knowing is. It's seeing it as Source sees it before it is visible to be seen. And when you see it as Source sees it before it is visible to be seen, then it must be seen. But if you don't see it as Source sees it before it can be seen, you'll never see it. Nice to know. Really fun to know. More fun than not fun. But then that's just our perspective. We know everything. We've never been wrong. We've seen your vibrational escrow. We know you like what's there. You put it there. That's how we know. But it's bigger than you can even contemplate it because you put it there so incrementally you have no idea how fabulous it is.
Okay, so when we pray and we envision that our mothers or our friends or saints or Jesus or whoever are helping us.
They are.
Are they really doing anything, or is it just our belief that they could that enables us to close the gap?
Well, we like what you're getting at because your belief in them is what causes you to allow. But we also want to say that all of your dearly departed, and even those that you don't know, are rooting for you and calling you forward. And especially if there's someone that you're particularly pointed about, they are absolutely part of this pulling process. And that's the reason that you get those sensations. Because you have to remember, the way you felt about your nurturing mother puts you in a place of allowing the nurturing universe to nurture you. And so your perspective of her is not only a big part of your allowing, but it's a big part of your calling the specific part of her to you to nurture. In other words, it's not just that it helps you to believe more because you think your mother would help you and you know that she always would be there for you. It's that as you focus specifically upon her, you activate that part of the Source energy vibration and utilize it more powerfully yourself. Yes, of course. Hear this, because this is really the answer to your question. There are aspects of that which is non-physical that you have more access to than others because of your expectation. That really is the essence of your question. If you're asking, Is there anything that comes to me that is apart from my asking? The answer is no. Oh, so my mother isn't looking over me and coming to her conclusions of what would be good for me and lining that up. No, she isn't. Your mother's part of the energy stream that is responding to what you are asking for, which makes both parts of your question equal in power.